It's the Cool Kids Club. You've been invited to the Cool Kids Club. It's so exciting, yeah. Justin likes monsters, yeah. And Amy likes words in the Cool Kids Club. Cool Kids Club.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Cool Kids Club podcast. I am one of your hosts, Justin.
And I'm your other host, Amy. And this is episode 9. Justin, can you believe? Episode 9. Who knows?
9 of these things.
Yeah.
But it's late. It's late, and we should talk about that.
It is late. Okay, yeah, let's talk about it. So, Justin and I had intentions to record both parts of the WWF Golden Era episode, part 1 and 2, before we both left on a week-long vacation. And it just didn't happen because life happens, you know. And we thought, we'll have a whole week when we get back, and that didn't happen. Justin got sick, not COVID.
Yeah,
thankfully.
as soon as we got back,
yeah,
I got sick, and it was rough too.
Yeah,
nothing serious. I did have a COVID test, and it was not COVID,
Yeah.
thankfully. But of course, we were
probably
just traveling.
General travel, like.
But
yeah.
it kind of, it knocked me on my ass for a few days.
Yeah.
So, I missed some work on top of the work I already missed for vacation. So.
Yeah.
But the good news is we're back.
We are.
Slightly delayed. And I'll go ahead and use this time to apologize in advance. I'm still recovering from my sickness. I will do my absolute best not to cough into the microphone.
Yeah.
And so you all don't have to listen to that. I will I will make liberal use of the mute button if I have to cough, but just bear with me as I'm still recovering from this crud.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I'm excited. I'm maybe more excited about part 2 than I was about part 1.
Really?
And I was pretty pumped about part 1.
Okay. Well, I guess this is more like what we remember, because a lot of the first episode we weren't alive or were too young to know, to remember.
A lot of that I didn't. Pretty much all of that. I wasn't watching as it happened. I went back and watched it later. But this what the stuff we're getting into today is we're getting into the kind of bread and butter of the stuff that I was really a fan of as a kid. I feel like we should do like a previously on.
Ooh.
Right? So I feel like if we were a Netflix show or something, we would do a previously on, since this is a continuation. But I'm too lazy to do like an actual edit sound clips together from the last episode.
Yeah,
so I figure I'll just improv a previously
okay.
on.
Do you want me to do the previously on voice, and then you can take it from there?
Let's hear your previously on voice, because mine I think back to one of my favorite shows, Lost, and so I'm thinking you got to go deep. I feel like, and with all the congestion, I feel like I can go deeper than even normal. So I could go like previously on the Cool Kids Club.
That almost sounds like Jigsaw, though. That sounded like Jigsaw.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like when they alter someone's voice because they want to conceal their identity.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. All right, well, let's hear your previously on, and then I'm just gonna I'll just improv something.
Okay. Previously on the Cool Kids Club.
We had WrestleMania. WrestleMania became a thing. Well, let me tell you something, Mean Gene. I'm going to go in there and blah, blah, blah. And that happened, and we're really popular. And now Hulk Hogan is brother with Andre the Giant. And, Roddy Piper here. Oh, Hogan, Andre the Giant, he's with old Bobby Heenan now. And then Andre's like, oh, I don't like you. Oh, I smash
Anybody want a peanut?
Anybody want a peanut? I smash your head, Hulk Hogan. And then we body slam WrestleMania 3.
Yep.
The Macho Man becoming a thing. Becomes the champion with Miss Elizabeth. Yeah.
A lot of drama. High drama.
First name Macho, last name Man. Check out the boots.
Oh my God.
And then we have the Mega Powers. Yeah, the brother, and the madness and the mania, and they come together. Oh, but then there's dissension, and Elizabeth is like, guys, please don't fight. I like you both so much, guys. That's not how she sounded, but despite her pleas, the Mega Powers explode. Hulk Hogan and Macho Man at WrestleMania 5, 1989. Hulk Hogan wins the title back. And that pretty much catches us up. So that's like an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, right there.
I just saved you. If you don't feel like listening to part one, though I would encourage you to.
Yeah.
Because I think it was a very fun episode.
I thought it was too. But it has been 3 weeks, so if you've forgotten what you listened to, you've just caught everyone up, so thank you.
Well, and I didn't get to do my Andre impression last time, and I wanted to get that in because we're really not going to be talking about Andre. Ooh.
That's true. Ooh. Thank you for that.
Yes.
I didn't even have to ask you to do the impressions this time. You just did them for me, so thank you.
Well, I was worried, too, because I was kind of on the brink of losing my voice a couple days ago.
Oh, great.
And I was like, oh, man, I can't do the episode if I can't do my voices. That's the whole shtick.
That is.
I got nothing else. I got nothing but the voices, and they're not even that good.
Well, you have the pages of facts and research that you've done,
Yeah. I mean, I guess.
I think the people like it.
Okay, well, I hope so.
Voices or no voices?
I hope, I hope that you had fun listening to part one. Part two begins now, and we'll pick up right where we left off.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 5.
I'm going to let you dive right on in.
Yeah. So WrestleMania 5, the Mega Powers explode. Randy Savage is a bad guy now. Elizabeth is no longer with him. Hulk Hogan's the champion again. And for the rest of 1989, we sort of get a lot of the same. We get a lot of Savage Hogan rematches, Hogan defending the title on Saturday night's main event against various heels, and he doesn't get beat. However, over the summer of 1989, so they had and you mentioned the King of the Ring last time,
yes.
Which is not really, it's sort of a thing, but it's more of like a house show. It's not really on television.
I guess as a kid, I thought it was one of the
It later would become one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but not at this point. But they have this like king gimmick, and they still kind of do it. There's actually a storyline right now going on in present.
So you have like the champion who holds the belt, but you also have the king.
Yeah, it's like a meaningless title,
like the real king, like of England, or like the real royal family.
like the actual king.
Meaningless. Yeah.
Yeah, it's purely ceremonial.
Yeah.
Right?
They just roll you out for ribbon cuttings and...
But then, if you challenge the king for the crown and you beat him, now you're the king.
Whatever that means.
It means you get a crown.
I think it means you get free burgers at Burger King.
It does.
Which is...
And you can have it your way there, I hear.
You can. That's what I hear, yeah.
Especially if you're king.
Oh, well, yeah.
So, over the summer of 1989, the Macho Man... defeats, and this king gimmick had always been sort of like a mid-card kind of tongue-in-cheek jokey sort of thing. So like the king is Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who's kind of a comedy character.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, and he's King Hacksaw, and he's goofy and all that. Macho Man beats him in the summer of 89 and takes over the king gimmick and makes it his whole thing. Oh. And he changes his name to the Macho King. He's no longer the Macho Man.
I don't know. I know I don't remember this because I was too young, but I don't
wonderful.
I don't remember ever knowing about the Macho King and how he
he was the Macho King for several years, actually. Beginning in the summer of 1989. So Elizabeth is out of the picture, at least as far as Macho Man's
I was gonna say, let me ask you. Now, they were still really married in real life. This was all just
Macho Man and Elizabeth, yes.
So this was just for show.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they were married in real life at this point.
Right. They didn't actually split up. This is just for the storyline.
Well, and we'll talk about it later.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it doesn't go well.
Oh, God.
Nothing ever goes well. So he becomes the Macho King and sort of the biggest female heel in the company is Sensational Sherry. And she becomes Queen Sherry. She becomes his new, and so he is the Macho King. He's got the crown and the scepter and the robe. Well, he always kind of had the robe.
Yeah.
And he would come out on like one of the, what do you call it? Like the chairs with like the guys holding it.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever you call caravan, maybe? Is that what you call that?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Some
but
type
you know what I'm
of
talking
throne
about.
Where he's being carried in.
Yes, and he's the Macho King. He's royalty.
Okay.
So we have like kind of a big change in character. Like this is his new sort of heel persona.
Yeah, it's just like really cocky and full of himself.
Yeah, and he was always really cocky, but he's like the king.
Yeah.
And he takes this kind of goofy gimmick, just kind of a throwaway like mid-card like haha thing. and makes it his whole thing, his whole shtick, and like kind of like he is now the king. Like this is the gimmick.
Huh.
So it's pretty cool. And for the rest of 1989, the other big thing that happens later in 1989 is you have the release of the cinematic masterpiece known as No Holds Barred.
I have never seen it. Shocking, I know.
Okay, well, I have the Blu-ray, so we're gonna watch it.
Okay.
I should have made you watch it before this.
I was gonna say I should have watched this in preparation.
Well, it's never too late. It's never too late.
Never too late for now.
It's true. So, the No Holds Barred is a movie that was written by Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan.
Oh my God, Justin!
About a fictionalized World Wrestling Federation.
No.
Hulk Hogan plays a fictionalized version of Hulk Hogan called Rip Thomas.
No, my God.
And in this movie, he is feuding with, and because in the movie, wrestling is not fake and scripted.
Okay, sure.
His big bad guy is this gigantic monster dude named Zeus.
Oh my
and
God.
So that's the movie, No Holds Barred. It is it is a terrible movie.
Now, is this the very first wrestling movie, like as far as made from, because there's a lot of like, they have a whole production company now, and like wrestlers being in
but most of the movies they make don't have anything to do with wrestling.
Well, exactly, but like would you say, is this the first one that was produced, whether it's about wrestling or not? Was this the first one
that the WWF produced?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So in order to
oh my God,
promote the movie, and I mean this is a big theatrical release. This isn't like a straight to video thing or anything. So in order to promote the movie, they get the actor Tony Lister, who plays the character of Zeus in the movie No Holds Barred, to start showing up on WWF programming as Zeus, as if that is the real, like he is really Zeus.
They start doing right now because I want to know what
he actually Tony Lister just passed away not too long ago. Yeah. He's in a lot of stuff. The other big thing I can think of off the top of my head is he was in Friday.
Yeah. He was also in The Fifth Element, apparently.
Yes, he was in The Fifth Element. Cool, he was in a lot of stuff, and so he comes in playing the character that he played in the movie.
Yeah.
Of Zeus to feud with Hulk Hogan,
to hype up and promote the movie.
And he is brought in by the Macho King and Sherry. So you have this kind of like,
like they're teaming up with
like an
him.
evil alliance.
Like, okay.
It's like the Macho King and Sherry and Zeus, the big giant monster, and he has a Z shaved into the side of his head, and he's got like the one wonky walleye. Yeah, and he's not a wrestler; he's an actor. So like he really just gets in the ring and stands around and does
just
chops
is like enormous and intimidating.
It's just enormous and scary, and he screams.
Yeah,
and that's basically
really
it.
all you need.
Yeah, so they do like this kind of storyline where it's like the movie bleeding into quote unquote real life.
Oh God.
And it's pretty awesome actually. Like, there's some fun stuff.
Loves drama, like way more than TNT. Like WWF loves drama so much.
Well, they're on USA, and they do welcome characters.
It's true.
Yes. And in fact, in late 1989, for the home video release of the movie, so the movie comes out over the summer.
Sure.
But for the home video release, right before Christmas, they have a special event, like a pay-per-view, sort of, that's not Survivor Series or WrestleMania or anything like that, but it's called No Holds Barred, the match, the movie. So you like pay one price, and you get the movie, and you get this special match that they taped at a TV taping. That's a steel cage match of the Macho King and Zeus versus Hulk Hogan and his buddy Brutus Beefcake.
Brutus Beefcake. That's the one that I wanted you to change your name to Brutus Beefcake, right?
Yes.
Please.
Yeah. I'll think about it.
Okay.
I'll think about it.
You can keep Justin as your middle name, and you can be Brutus J. Beefcake. Just to differentiate, so no one confuses you with the wrestler.
Right. Well, we wouldn't want that.
No.
Yeah, we wouldn't want that. So around this time, we also start getting some new arrivals in the company. Probably the most notable, honestly, for me at this point is Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes is he's a megastar at this point. He's a territory guy. So if you go all the way back,
he was like old school wrestling, right?
Yes. He is well established and well into. In fact, this is sort of the end of his in-ring career. Now he always he worked behind the scenes a lot for years and years before this in various territories, Championship Wrestling of Florida, Texas, for Jim Crockett Promotions. But he comes in here in late 1989, doing he's the common man. That's the gimmick. Is he's got this wonderful theme song that has a lot of cowbell in it, and they have these vignettes that are like, it's so good. It's like him like joyfully doing like blue collar tasks.
Oh my god!
Like him like riding on the back of like a trash truck, and he's picking up the trash, and then it's like someone will recognize him because he's Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
And then it's like there'll be someone will be like, "Hey, aren't you?" And he'll be like, "Shh."
Oh my lord.
And Dusty Rhodes sounds like this.
Yeah, I was about to say, please do a Dusty Rhodes impression.
Dusty Rhodes, if you will. He's got a little bit of juke and jive to his voice, you see.
And a very severe lisp.
He's wined and dined with kings and queens. And slipped in alleys and dined on pork and beans.
Oh my god.
And I'll tell you what, the first time I heard... I was in my 30s by the time I heard him speak in his actual voice and realized that's not actually how he talks.
That's not how he talks?
No, I watched an interview with... He was on some
Does he have the lisp in real life?
A little bit, yeah. But I mean,
but
not
he like
pronounced.
plays it up for the...
Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm learning this right now live in this podcast.
I'll send you a link to the interview.
Talks.
It's like, oh my god, he talks like a normal person. But Dusty Rhodes, you see.
Oh god.
Dusty Rhodes is a charismatic enigma. And he's got his sweet, sweet Sapphire. Sapphire is a fan. She was literally... she becomes his valet, but was literally a fan.
Really?
He became friends with her. And she was like the biggest Dusty Rhodes fan, and they ended up like working her into the show, and she became his like, and they
weren't like romantically involved. They were just teammates. Okay.
No, she was a fan, and they were friends.
Oh my gosh.
She became his like manager, and she would come out and they would dance, and he wore the polka dots, Daddy. He wore the black and the yellow polka dots, if you will. And he got a big old belly on him. And he's got a big old honey.
Oh my God.
He comes out and he jukes and jives. And that's Dusty Rhodes. And he's wonderful. And he's one of the best of all time.
And his sons are both wrestlers now. One of them has maybe like retired or doesn't do it anymore. Or...
he has two sons, Dustin Rhodes, who has wrestled as Dustin Rhodes, and maybe more famously as Goldust.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was
in the WWF. And then Cody Rhodes, who wrestled for WWF and is one of the founders of All Elite Wrestling, which is currently in Fuego. Just it's so good right now.
Okay.
It's so good.
So what about the Ultimate Warrior, who we talked about last time a little bit? He was like up and coming, right?
Oh my God! So the Ultimate Warrior is like on fire, right?
Okay, he's in Fuego.
Probably. I mean, at this point in like late 89, 90, probably second only to Hogan. He's the most popular guy in the company.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Huge. And he's,
I guess
of course,
I didn't think of him being that popular or like quite that popular. But.
Yeah, no, he is like a megastar. He's the Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah.
So, kind of in kayfabe, sort of second, tier to the world champion, Hogan. And, so that sort of becomes they start looking at Warrior as the possible heir apparent to Hogan. Hogan,
yeah, because I mean he can't do it forever, and he starts to move into like movies and stuff more, right?
Right, because you got to think, if you go back to the last episode when we're talking about, Hogan Hogan was wrestling back into the 70s.
Right.
And
He's
Hogan,
been doing this
became
for a long time.
Hulk Hogan,
Yeah.
Hulkamania,
Yeah.
Real American in like 84.
Right.
We're now in 1990. I mean, we're 6 years into
Yeah.
this. And he's looking to get into movies.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you? It's like, I'm a big star. I could get paid a shitload more money. I could not put my body through the stress of wrestling. Why? And so obviously he is looking, to make the shift to a movie career.
Yeah.
And we see him start to take more time off.
Right.
Especially, and we'll see, here in a minute where he, kind of takes the whole summer off. Mm-hmm. And the Ultimate Warrior is sort of the guy at this time.
Yeah.
That they're looking at being like,
who,
okay,
has
well,
as much hype as Hogan did.
Yeah, it's like Hogan's not going to be here forever.
Right.
His time might be winding down. This might be the guy to become that kind of next face of the company of the 90s, as what Hogan was in the 80s. This might be our 90s guy. So this all leads to the first WrestleMania that has a babyface versus a babyface in the main event. You have this really great build that sort of begins at the Royal Rumble in January of 1990, where you have this, because kind of at this point, it was like they had never crossed paths, the two of them. Right?
Hogan and Ultimate Warrior?
Right. They're both good guys. They're not really in
I
any
guess
stories
that makes sense.
together.
They would never have wrestled each other because, they're both good guys.
But of course, in the Royal Rumble, you get everybody in there. And they have this just wonderful, awesome, iconic moment in the 1990 Rumble when it's like the two of them kind of clean house and throw everybody out. And then they sort of like, they turn around and they're looking at each other and like the crowd just goes nuts. It's like everyone has wanted this for a while now. And it's like the first time they've been in the ring together. It's the first time they've touched. It's the first time they've had any kind of issue. And it's this really cool moment at the Royal Rumble. And this leads to Warrior versus Hogan. And this is really kind of seen at the time as perhaps the handing off of the torch.
Okay. They've kind of set it up like that.
By this point, they also know that Hogan is going away after WrestleMania. He's leaving to film a movie.
Okay.
And,
is this one the nanny?
I don't think this might be Suburban Commando.
Am I even saying it right?
Which frankly could just have a whole episode. That'll be a movie club episode, maybe.
For what is it?
Suburban Commando.
I've never seen that one either.
Oh my! It has the Undertaker in it.
Is it the nanny? No, it's something. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. I mean, obviously, The Nanny is a beloved 90s television show.
You're talking about Mr. Nanny.
Mr. Nanny, thank you.
The Nanny's the Fran Drescher show.
Well, I knew that, but I thought this had the same name.
No,
don't worry. I am a huge Nanny fan.
It might be Mr. Nanny. I don't know. I don't remember which one it is.
It is Mr. Nanny. I don't fret because I'm looking it up right now.
Okay.
I know everyone out there is very worried. It is indeed Mr. Nanny.
Okay.
I remember this because when Justin and I were young, on our birthdays, our mom used to let us choose the pay-per-view movie. I think we've talked about this before. And one year I chose Mr. Nanny and bummed everyone right the fuck out. Well, Justin, I'm sure was into it because
I was gonna say I was.
Mom and Dad were like, "Kill me, please." This
it was your birthday,
but it was my birthday. It actually
it had a wrestler in it. You knew I was gonna be happy.
It actually has the youngest daughter from the Fran Drescher show, The Nanny, in it. That's the little girl in the movie. So
she got typecast.
She did.
Nanny roles.
There's other wrestlers in this as well. Oh my God, Brutus Beefcake's in this, Justin.
Oh yeah,
I forgot about that.
In everything Hogan did because they're best friends.
Okay, I forgot all about this. We should
Brutus
probably
the ultimate hanger-on.
We should probably watch that together sometime soon.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
we'll get on Instagram Live and do a live
Mr. Nanny live
reaction watch of Mr. Nanny.
Yeah.
We do double feature with No Holds Barred.
It's probably for free on Amazon Prime or free on YouTube. They probably just don't care.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. I don't plan on spending a lot of money on it, if anything at all. Okay,
Sorry.
So here we are in the
Back
spring of
on track.
1990. WrestleMania 6. Hogan, as they know at this point, is at least leaving for a few months.
Right.
To go do a movie. We're going to try out the Ultimate Warrior as the champion in the main event of WrestleMania in the Sky Dome in Toronto.
Upon the examination of the galaxies of space, images begin to appear. Images of strange and powerful forces. But of all the forces in the universe, the two most powerful, Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, prepare to explode. Champion versus champion. Title for title. It's the ultimate challenge. It's WrestleMania!
Ultimate Warrior beats Hulk Hogan clean. And by clean, I mean no cheating.
Mean? Oh, okay.
No interference. So Hogan had lost before, but it was always something like we talked about in the last episode with the weird referee switch. And it was always and this is the first time in years that Hulk Hogan has lost clean.
Wow.
So this is sort of like a passing of the torch moment. Hulk Hogan is defeated by the Ultimate Warrior. After the match, he goes out and he grabs the belt and he gets back in the ring and he hands it to the Warrior. And it's like him, because they're both baby faces, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like he's showing respect. He's like,
side.
well, you beat me, you know? Yeah. And so that was almost certainly, I would say, the best Ultimate Warrior match. There aren't a lot of good Ultimate Warrior matches.
Yeah, you said he's not that great, that he just kind of runs to the ring and then he's all winded. And
yeah, he's not very good.
Yeah. He's gone too manic before the match has even started.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is almost certainly the best Ultimate Warrior match. In fact, the other one I would consider that's in running, we'll talk about in a few minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So now we have the first. So we've had this era that we're talking about up to this point we had a year of Macho Man as champion, but outside of that, it's all been Hogan.
Yeah, and that's when I look back on that and when we're talking about that, like, it's kind of boring, right? Because you've just got like this one. I mean, yes, you have all these other wrestlers and they do pepper them in, but it's like you have essentially the same champion for a long time, with the exception of when Macho Man had it, and like he never loses, or if he does, it's someone screwed him over somehow or something, and it's just kind of like, I would think that's really boring as a fan, like.
Well, and you're right, and we are going to, but by 1990, we are starting to see that, like
a bit of Hogan fatigue,
yes.
like he is.
It's kind of the old wrestling adage of, we can't miss you if you never go away,
right? Yeah, you gotta kind of,
And when you watch this match, I mean, the crowd is split. You have I'd say at least half the crowd is against Hogan.
Yeah.
So you are starting to see this. Like
we need, like, let's get somebody fresh in.
We're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Over and over, and we've seen it at this point, and so that's why I think Warrior, for all his faults and what would ultimately be a failed experiment. I think a lot of people saw it at the time as a breath of fresh air. It was like, this is. It
was like, okay,
different.
Somebody knew, like.
Yeah, this is wild. He looks totally different. He has totally different promos, even if they don't really make any sense. Like, it's just like a different presentation. And it's very 1990. The face paint,
the colors,
and of course, WWF is famously the land of the giants. That's the look for the big wrestlers that Vince McMahon's going for.
Yes, yeah.
These giant, jacked, bodybuilder looking guys that are larger than life, literally.
Which we will get into.
Which we are going to
later on.
Might come back to bite him in the ass.
Yeah, it might.
So after Mania, we have this new heel. You remember I mentioned the Monster Factory, as I kind of call it, of these heels coming into feud with Hogan. We get Earthquake, who I was a big Earthquake fan. I feel like...
Do I know what Earthquake looks like? Do I remember?
I feel like wrestling needs more fat guys. Like, and I'm not talking about like muscular fat. I'm talking about like Earthquake. Like, that's a fat dude.
Like just the whole. Oh my God, that beard.
And I guarantee whatever picture you're looking at of Earthquake right now, I guarantee you he's at least 25 years younger in that picture than you think he is. I guarantee you I'm older than he is. I'm older right now than he is in that picture that you're looking at, probably.
Wow. There's just so much body hair.
There's a lot of body hair.
None of it on the top of his head, but everywhere else.
I know no one at home can see this, but Amy can. My favorite is the Earthquake pose, the double guns. But it's just like me. It's just fat. There's no muscle there.
I'm seeing this right now. Yeah. It's just fat.
The double guns. Also, a lot. He wore the singlet.
Yes.
And to be frank, there's a lot of pubis fat.
This is like me when I wear a one piece to the beach. Like there's a lot of inner thigh jiggling.
Listen, I would not. I wouldn't wear that in private, let alone in an arena full of people. Yeah, there's just a lot of. Well, and I see him
always
falling out, and
he is gross. Like landing right on someone's face, and I'm just thinking.
Oh, the big whoopsie, the asshole to the chest.
Big whoopsie is what it was called.
No, that's just what I call it.
Oh, I mean, to be honest, that absolutely sounds like a wrestling finisher. Just the big whoopsie.
However, having said all this, Earthquake's awesome.
Okay, I don't remember this guy. He does look. Like he is built like me.
You might remember him because later on he would be in a tag team, the Natural Disasters.
That sounds familiar.
That might ring a bell for you.
Okay.
Yeah. But here we're getting kind of like, sort of semi-main event Earthquake. They do this segment where they write Hogan off TV after WrestleMania where he does the big whoopsie, the big splash,
just a big
sit down
fart.
splash.
Yeah.
Yeah. To Hogan like a bunch of times.
Oh, I cannot even imagine how gross that was. But really, when any of them are doing that to each other's face, like that's too much. I don't want any part in that. Like, no thank you.
So we have this. We're trying out the Ultimate Warrior.
Okay.
We're thinking maybe this is the guy.
Yeah. For the next, 5 or 6 years, it's gonna be our
right. And again, and you can't have. He can't be the new Hogan if Hogan is there, right?
Right.
And Hogan's not gone for that long because by the time we get to August with SummerSlam, Hogan's back.
God damn Hogan.
Co-main eventing SummerSlam, Hogan versus Earthquake, and then you have the Ultimate Warrior, the champion, co-main eventing, defending the title against Ravishing Rick Rude in a steel cage match, which is a great match.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, okay, Hogan's back.
Right.
Well, he's still Hogan.
Yeah.
You do have a certain the fan base sort of starting to turn. But it's like, okay, now Hogan's back. Warrior's still there. And Warrior's not really delivering.
Okay. Yeah.
Warrior.
He's not as good of a wrestler. Let's just be honest.
He's certainly not. And Hulk Hogan's not a great wrestler either. Hulk Hogan has his match he does.
Right,
but
he's
it's
got
very
his
good
shtick.
and it's very popular.
Yeah.
And Ultimate Warrior doesn't have that. Ultimate Warrior is not talented enough. To he's not top guy material, I would say.
Yeah.
I think both professionally and personally, he's not top guy material.
Yeah. As we later learn.
Yeah, and I mean he was notoriously hard to work with.
Oh, was he? Okay.
He had a reputation for hurting people.
Really? Like in matches
just
and
very
stuff?
Yes, just very sloppy.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me. And no one liked working with him, basically.
Okay.
There's a great story early on, and this is a little sidebar because we're going back a couple years here when Ultimate Warrior's kind of new. And he's going so fast through his matches, right? He's hurting people. And everyone's trying to tell him, like, slow down. And he's out there going like 1,000 miles an hour. And he's working these tag team matches with Andre the Giant, who, by that point is,
he had slowed down quite a bit.
Quite a bit, yes. but he's still Andre the Giant.
Right.
And Ultimate Warrior is just this green new guy who won't listen when everyone's telling him, slow down. You're going to hurt yourself. Mm-hmm. You're going to hurt other people. Mm-hmm. You take it easy.
Yeah.
And so they're working some house show. There's a great story where Andre's like, "Ooh, I slow him down." And so Ultimate Warrior would do these spots where he'd like run the ropes, you know, and he would come like shoulder tackle like the shit out of you.
Yeah.
You know, like for real. You know, like it's not. This is supposed to. Yeah, you're not really supposed to hurt people. This is wrestling.
Yeah.
So he's running the ropes, going like 10,000 miles an hour, and Andre just puts his fist out.
Oh my God.
And he just runs straight face first into Andre's fist and just crumples. And it was like he slowed down after that.
Well,
I slow him down.
Oh my God. As much as I'm loving this, can we please go to the next thing on the notes? Because I'm so fucking excited for it. Because this
Why don't you talk about it? So we're finishing out.
Okay.
We're toward the end of 1990. We've got Ultimate Warrior is the champion, but he's, you know, he's kind of floundering, partially because of him and partially because Hogan is still there.
Right.
And doing his Hogan thing. And, you know, in Warrior's defense, how are you going to grow? How are you going to grow as a character? How are you going to get to that next level and connect with the audience when you've already got this guy who's there doing it?
Yeah. Right.
You know, you can't be seen as the top guy when there's a guy who has been the top guy for 6 years. Still there. Right next to you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we are in late 1990. But in late 1990, at the Survivor Series specifically.
And that's usually, Survivor Series is like in the fall usually, isn't it?
It's November.
Yeah.
It's usually around Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It was, I think, originally on Thanksgiving night, and then it was Thanksgiving Eve, and it's just sometime in November now.
Okay.
So there are two big debuts in the Survivor Series 1990.
Okay.
One of them is a giant chicken that hatches out of an egg.
Say that again?
It's a giant chicken that hatches out of an egg.
Is it Egbert from Garfield and Friends?
It's not. His name is the Gobbledygooker.
Justin. No, it's not. Tell me it's not.
Google Gobbledygooker. Google the Gobbledygooker now.
How? Oh, yep. Yeah, I just put in gob and it already knew.
You see the big chicken?
Jesus Christ. What is this? Why is this? Did they wrestle in this?
No.
Oh.
It's one of the funniest.
Not a turkey.
No, he's not a turkey. I don't even know how it's supposed to be Thanksgiving related. It's a chicken.
Are we sure? Maybe it is a turkey.
Well, maybe it is a turkey. I don't know. I guess maybe it is a turkey.
Gobbledygook. I guess it's a turkey, but it is hatching out of an egg.
Yeah. Do turkeys hatch out of an egg? There's not turkey eggs.
I think that's the thing, is that it looks
Google,
like a turkey.
Are there turkey eggs? I don't think that's a thing.
I don't think so either.
I feel like I'd be able to buy them.
Hatch from eggs.
Oh. They aren't. They do, but they're not edible.
Yes, they are. Okay.
Turkey egg. Okay. Anyway,
so
that's not the one debut I want to talk about. I just wanted to.
It isn't because
that wasn't in the notes, so
intrigued.
I wanted to just throw that on you. You know.
God damn.
Just to get your reaction.
It's
to the
a big fucking turkey hatching out of an egg. Jesus.
And it's just so funny how they had this egg for like weeks, right? And they're like, what's going to come out of the egg?
Oh, God,
what's
really?
What's going to come out of the egg? Tune into the Survivor Series and find out what's going to come out of the giant egg.
And it's just a big fucking turkey.
And he gets in the ring and he dances.
Oh, my God.
And the crowd is just fucking not having it. They're like, what the fuck is this shit?
I love it.
Oh, God. And apparently, like, Vince McMahon's backstage just laughing like, they fucking hate it. It's just one of the, like...
He doesn't care. He's getting paid anyway.
Yeah. it's one of the funnier, just like
ridiculous.
What the fuck things. But there is an actual important.
Somehow,
debut.
the giant turkey in hatching out of the egg is not the most important debut at the 1990 Survivor Series.
Somehow it gets bigger and better.
And that is the debut of The Undertaker.
Everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man. So without further ado, I will introduce to you now my mystery partner, led to the ring by his manager, Brother Love, weighing in at 320 pounds from Death Valley. I give you The Undertaker. The Undertaker, the mystery partner, is now revealed. I never heard of him. Take a holy cow! Look at the size of that ham hock!
He is the mystery partner for Ted DiBiase in his Survivor Series team. And I equal parts love and was so fucking scared of The Undertaker as a child, like I think most of us were. And there's not enough Undertaker, frankly, in these notes. I guess that's going to be part 3. I was hoping we'd get more into The Undertaker.
Well, we are gonna talk some Undertaker.
Okay, well, I'll let you take it from there because you know more, but just, I just love The Undertaker. And I feel like this was like you were like, all right, I'm watching wrestling. I like wrestling. Oh my God, there's a scary character.
Spooky stuff.
Right. It was like
stuff.
The Undertaker. How is he not your absolute favorite? Because he's just like your 2 favorite things.
And just retired last year.
Also, what was his manager's name? Paul.
Okay, so he originally debuts with his manager Brother Love, who is Bruce Pritchard, whose podcast I like to listen to.
God, yeah, you love that. Okay.
But soon, Brother Love is replaced by Paul Bearer.
Paul Bearer, that's what it was. Yeah, as soon as I see it,
the wonderful
God.
And I thought, I was thinking when I was losing, or I thought I was losing my voice. I didn't, thankfully. I was like, the one voice I'm going to be able to do is The Undertaker, because The Undertaker's just kind of like this.
Can you
creepy.
please do a Paul Bearer?
Oh, yes! Oh, my Undertaker is building an extra double-wide, double-deep casket for you. Oh, yes! That's Paul Bearer. And he's wonderful and fantastic. And he's a real-life funeral director.
I love that so much.
So the Undertaker's giant. Everyone knows what the Undertaker looks like. I think even if you're not a wrestling fan,
yeah,
you know what the Undertaker looks like. He's comes out in all black.
He is a gigantic goth man,
and he does this early incarnation. Of course, the Undertaker had a 30-year career and went through lots of different incarnations and evolutions of the character. But these early years, especially, it was like a zombie sort of, where it was like he didn't sell anything. Like he did, it was like he was supposed to like not feel pain.
Okay, I'm looking up what he looked like in like 19. Okay, so still the same.
He had like curly red hair.
Yes. Oh, see, I'm remembering him more like, I guess a little bit later with like the beard. I guess he always had a beard, but he's much like paler and the hair's like really dark and dyed black and stuff.
Yeah.
That's
and
more
he
what
had
I'm
the dark
thinking.
circles, the dark under his eyes, and the big hat, the wide brim hat, and the trench coat.
Yeah, that he doesn't have that like right at the beginning.
He would go through a lot of physical changes and otherwise, but he would do the great like the Michael Myers sit up. He would be like kind of laying prone on the campus campus canvas. And just slowly pop up like Michael Myers in Halloween. And it's just it's so good and creepy. And he would do this I always thought it was so eerie. And I go back and watch it now and I still think it's eerie. He would do this like hissing thing.
Oh.
That was like, and it was like, he wasn't doing it like right into the camera, but he'd be like choking somebody in the corner and you would just hear him. He was kind of like breathe hissing where he's like
breathe then eat. Yeah.
Now that did make me cough. That probably would have made me cough regardless.
Yeah.
So yeah, The Undertaker debuts in November 1990 at the Survivor Series, and obviously The Undertaker is going to become an increasingly huge deal as we get on in this episode and in other wrestling episodes that we're going to do in the future. He will become an even bigger deal. But we're going to put a pin in the Undertaker talk for the moment because we have someone else that we need to talk about. We have a storyline that we need to talk about.
Okay.
One of the more regrettable, I would say, and in poor taste storylines of the era. So, Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah.
We're moving into 1991 right now. Sergeant Slaughter he had done a couple stints, and he was kind of a territory guy.
Yeah.
He had sort of wrestled all over the place. He had a couple stints in the early 80s in the WWF. And probably even more importantly, had a lot of crossover appeal with G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
You know, they had Sergeant Slaughter as part of the G.I. Joe cartoon, which is obviously one of the biggest cartoons of the
time,
80s.
Yeah.
And, you know, they had Sergeant Slaughter action figures and
yeah.
commercials and all that. So, around this time, in late 1990, Sergeant Slaughter returns. And Sergeant Slaughter is traditionally kind of like a drill sergeant is the gimmick, right?
Yeah.
He's camo and he's all America and he has the big giant chin and he's like, you pukes, you know. But he's a good guy. He's a good guy, right? So he's like Mr. America, soldier dude. So in the real world, the non-wrestling world, beginning in August 1990, we have a political kind of crisis begin. If you were around back then, I'm sure you remember it. Basically, the nation of Iraq, led by Saddam Hussein, invades the tiny neighboring nation of Kuwait, and this begins kind of this crisis, which would lead to the United States becoming involved in what would become the Gulf War in early 1991. In late 1990, while all of this is going on and is like the biggest story in the headlines, Sergeant Slaughter returns, but he doesn't return as the G.I. Joe All-American hero. He comes back as a heel, as an Iraqi sympathizer.
Oh, no.
In allegiance to Saddam Hussein.
Oh, God.
And he has General Adnan, and they bring back the Iron Sheik under the name Colonel Mustafa, but everyone knows it's the Iron Sheik. And he becomes, like, at the time, the biggest heel in the company.
Well, yeah, I can imagine.
And there are stories. Slaughter claims that, you know, he received death threats. That he, you know, they hired security. Like he, like he had to have security, like, escort him out of the buildings into the hotels and stuff because people fucking hated him so much.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So this is really controversial. Do what? Not
a good move. Do you think that was his idea or Vince McMahon's idea?
I think it was both. And I mean, okay, so how do I put this? There's a certain jingoism to it, I think, that is regrettable. But more so, I can kind of, like, I can understand it in, like, late 1990 before violence had broken out. When it was just kind of this political crisis thing of, like, they invaded this country and they won't leave. And
was this before the U.S. was involved?
I mean, yes, before they had troops on the ground.
Oh, okay.
But I think kind of once there's lives being lost, I feel like they should have pulled the plug on it. Yeah. But they didn't. You know, they stay the course. At the 1991 Royal Rumble, Sergeant Slaughter, Iraqi sympathizer, Sergeant Slaughter defeats the Ultimate Warrior for the WWF Championship after interference from the Macho King. So we're setting up Savage versus the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, God.
For WrestleMania. And now we have Traitor, Sergeant Slaughter as the champion. And who do you think is going to come and avenge America.
Well, obviously, All-American Hulk Hogan.
I am a real
American. Fight for the rights of...
Yay, Hulk Hogan's back.
Yay.
Yay. So, this is all leading to WrestleMania 7, 1991. Sergeant Slaughter is kind of a, what I would call a transitional champion. I mean, he was champion because... for the sole reason of working this one program with Hulk Hogan.
Right.
And they decided they weren't going to do...
They probably, honestly,
they weren't going to do
this is
Hogan
how they were
versus
going to
Warrior
bring
2.
Hulk Hogan back to, like, prominence in a way. Like, they were...
There were rumors that they were going to do Hogan and Ultimate Warrior 2 originally.
Oh.
That they were thinking about turning Ultimate Warrior
into a heel.
But for whatever reason, that plan was scrapped, and we decided to go this direction. So the two big matches at WrestleMania 7, in the main event, of course, main eventing his sixth out of the 7 WrestleManias.
Oh my God.
Hulk Hogan, of course, Stars and Stripes, defeats Sergeant Slaughter,
sure, and
brings the title back to America. And it's just, the whole storyline to me is kind of in bad taste. Like I said, I could kind of see it at the beginning. Once an actual war broke out, I feel like that changes things a lot, and it goes a little too far in the direction of exploitation for my taste, of exploiting like real life suffering that's happening. I'm not saying they should be allowed or not allowed to do it. I just think it's in bad taste.
Right.
And of course, famously, there was, during an interview segment, they had initially wanted Sergeant Slaughter to burn an American flag.
Oh my God.
On TV, and he was like, I'm not doing that.
No.
He's like, I draw the line. I'm not. So they burn it. He burns a Hulk Hogan shirt, like a Hulkamania.
Oh, okay.
You know, and that was the compromise. But even he was like, I'm not doing that. I was like,
I
have a family and I'm going to get murdered.
Yeah, for real.
The other big match for WrestleMania 7 is actually a retirement match, quote unquote retirement, wrestling retirement.
Okay.
Ultimate Warrior defeats the Macho King. So now Macho King is retired. And in honestly, one of my favorite moments of this era, one of my favorite WrestleMania moments at all time, you had, go back to 1989. We're now in 1991. He'd been the Macho King. He'd been a bad guy for several years at this point.
With Queen Sherry.
After the match, Queen Sherry attacks him and starts hitting him and slapping him and beating him, all that. And who comes out of the crowd?
Miss Elizabeth. You know it's Miss Elizabeth.
And there is a wonderful babyface turn.
Do they get reunited? And it
they
feels
reunite.
So good?
They reunite, and there's just like, it's honestly like, it's one of the biggest tearjerker moments. I think.
Really?
That sounds funny to say when we're talking wrestling, but like,
well, you get invested. Their characters just like a TV show.
Exactly. It's so
they're
well
clearly
done.
Not,
And she comes in and throws Sherry out, and Macho's on the ground, and he like gets up and turns around and sees it's her.
Oh man.
And they just have this, and then it's like they just hold there and they wait, and then it's like they come together and embrace and hug.
And this whole time they are really married. Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Although in real life, things are kind of coming to an end, ironically. So we have this reunion of Elizabeth and Randy Savage, and commentary's great. He's always loved her, and historically she always, she would hold the ropes open for him when he got into the ring or got out of the ring, you know, and then they go out of the ring. She starts to do it, and he's like, no. and he takes her hand and he leads her away, and then he holds the ropes for her.
Oh.
And it's just so, and people are like crying in the audience.
Oh
like,
my gosh.
There's like all these shots of people crying, and I get it, man. It's really
a
really sweet, cool moment.
Oh.
And it was like, if you've been invested in these characters for years, like a lot of us had at this point.
That's like two TV characters who've been apart for 2 years getting back together. I mean,
it's such a cool payoff, and who doesn't love a good baby face turn? Like the bad guy becomes a good guy.
Yep.
You know,
Gotta
he makes
love
the
it.
right choice finally. So 1991 is 1991 is by far the year we're spending the most time on.
Okay.
Because there is a lot going on. This is kind of 91 and 92 are the years of big change. So I just kind of want to briefly, outside of WrestleMania, as far as so I'm going to talk in the ring, like on the actual television product.
Yep.
And then I want to talk about what's going on outside the ring, because
there's a lot.
There's a lot, and it's a bigger story than anything that's on TV. Mm-hmm. So 1991 in the ring, outside of what we've already talked about with Sergeant Slaughter and Hogan and the Warrior and Savage, we're getting a lot of new tag teams in. This is when we get like the Legion of Doom coming in, the Road Warriors, the Nasty Boys, the Natural Disasters are formed, which we already kind of talked about. This is also the time when you have a lot of these older teams that we sort of mentioned in the last episode splitting and beginning their solo careers. You have the British Bulldogs are no longer a thing, but Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog, is beginning his sort of solo and is becoming increasingly popular, especially as the company is really gaining popularity in Europe.
Oh, okay.
Makes sense. Particularly England and Germany.
Yeah.
Very popular. And of course, now you've got this guy who's British, and they're going to use that to their advantage.
Yeah, of course.
He's going to, you also have Bret Hart going solo, one half of the Hart Foundation, and
my number one, True Love.
Yes. And my favorite wrestler of all time.
And also his number one, True Love.
Also my number one, True Love.
Like your wife, April, but also Bret Hart.
Yeah.
You just got to get April to wear a Bret Hart
She's listening to this, so I won't say anything. Bret Hart goes solo, and he's just another one of these like super popular, but he's very different than the kind of guys that we've had so far. He's not Hogan and Savage and Warrior.
He's not. I mean, he's obviously like muscular and stuff, but he's not like this.
He looks like a human being.
Yeah, he looks like a guy you'd like, see at the grocery store who looks in shape. You know what I mean? He doesn't look.
He's
like,
really in shape, and he's probably big by normal standards, but by wrestler standards, he's small.
Yeah, he's kind of short also, too. Like he's not. Yeah,
he's also maybe the best wrestler in the world, and we're starting to see the rise of this different match style.
Yeah.
We're getting away from the Hogan and the Warrior of these like attractions that are just, it's not a technical match. It's not an athletic display necessarily.
Right.
Like you would think of like Bret Hart's matches or something different. Particularly at SummerSlam 1991. One of my all-time favorite matches against Mr. Perfect for the Intercontinental Championship. If you are curious and have not seen any of these matches we're talking about, I would go out of your way. If you want to see what great wrestling looks like, go watch SummerSlam 1991, Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig.
Does Bret Hart win?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Spoiler alert, sorry.
For a 30-year-old wrestling match.
We also have, at the end of the year, and I'm going to back up a little bit here, one of the most notorious segments, and just the segment that truly broke my heart as a child, the split of the Rockers. Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty.
Yeah.
On the barbershop with Brutus Beefcake. Shawn Michaels turns on Marty Jannetty, throws him through the window of the barbershop set.
Oh.
And this is the beginning of... I mean, right here in 1991, we're seeing these are tag team guys.
Yeah.
But we're seeing the origins of the solo runs of
some of the biggest wrestlers of the last 30 years.
Yeah, and these are going to be the guys like for the next like 5-6 years. These are going to be the guys. They're not yet.
This is for me, as someone born in 1987. started getting into like, this is who was big when I was like, I knew who Hulk Hogan was and Macho Man, but they weren't wrestling anymore. You know, sure. I knew them as, you know, kind of the grandfathers of wrestling almost, and like Dusty Rhodes and stuff like that. But it was Bret Hart, it was Shawn Michaels, it was The Undertaker. You know, it was some other people we're about to talk about. but yeah, it was definitely, this was like who was hot in the early 90s.
So also at this time we get, you know, Macho Man and Elizabeth have a wedding, even though their marriage is really falling apart in real life. In SummerSlam 1991, they have the wedding of the century. It is sad.
Elizabeth. Will you marry me?
We don't have an answer. We don't have an answer. We don't.
He did it. He asked
about it, Miss Elizabeth. Elizabeth?
Oh, yeah.
Also, Roddy Piper returns.
Where's he been?
He went off to do movies, and now
that's right. That's right.
Yeah, he's doing movies and TV and stuff, and he kind of does that. You know, he'll leave for a couple years, and then he'll show back up.
Yeah.
The Ultimate Warrior. What's going on with the Ultimate Warrior?
Yeah.
So
he's got a lot going on.
Well, he by this point, the experiment has failed, right?
He's clearly not. He doesn't have whatever Hulk Hogan had.
Right.
You know, that kept him.
He's still a very big deal.
Sure.
Still a major player, probably maybe second behind Hogan at this point still. But he's not Hogan, and he's not going to be the new Hogan.
No.
It's clear. So, you know, in 91 he feuds with Jake Roberts and The Undertaker, including the segment where he gets locked in the coffin, and it's really great. But that brings us to SummerSlam 1991. So here's what happens. A couple weeks before SummerSlam, the Ultimate Warrior sends a letter to Vince McMahon basically saying, I'm unhappy with my WrestleMania payday. I'm unhappy with all this and this and this. And I demand all of this, all these financial demands. I want this X cut of the merch. I want
this is for real. This is not a storyline. This is
not a storyline. Okay. This is real.
Okay.
Yeah. And he says, if you don't meet my demands, I'm not going to show up at SummerSlam.
Okay.
In which he is supposed to be in the main event teaming with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
So, and this is like right before SummerSlam, so Vince sort of has no choice, but he's like, okay, I'll give you everything you want.
Right.
And then they do SummerSlam, and then the next day, Vince is like, fuck you, you don't get any of it. You don't hold me up for money. You don't threaten to no-show because you don't get what you want. You're suspended, and then he quits.
So Ultimate Warrior was just kind of a real volatile person.
He's an asshole.
Yeah.
He was a real, and I hate to speak ill of the dead.
I was going to say, is he still living?
No, he's not. He was a piece of shit.
Wow.
I hate to say that, but he was.
Yeah.
And if anyone out there has any doubts about that, go Google some of the things he said about homosexuals years later. And you'll know what kind of a piece of shit he was.
Oh, okay.
So the last big thing, 1991, in the ring, Ric Flair, the real world's champion.
All right, we teased this in our last episode.
So who is Ric Flair? Who is Ric Flair? Amy, do you know who Ric Flair is?
And
can you give me your best woo?
All right, let me back up.
Your best Ric Flair woo. All right.
Woo!
That was really good.
Thanks.
That was really woo.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ric Flair is the biggest and most popular wrestler in the world outside of the WWF.
Yeah.
Has been for years at this point.
Yeah.
He is a veteran. He is a multiple-time world champion, and the last true, we talked about the territories, how the champion would travel. He's really the last true, like, traveling NWA champion. He's a legend at this point.
Was there a reason that he never wanted to join, like, WWF? Like, he just enjoyed the...
He was the king. Why would he leave? Like, why would he go anywhere else? He was, and he had a hand in the booking. He had a hand in creative. He had everything.
Yeah.
He was literally, outside of Hulk Hogan, the biggest wrestling star, certainly outside of the WWF in the world.
Wow.
So what leads to him showing up in 1991 in the WWF for the first time ever.
And being like, I'm the true champion.
Yeah, and it all boils down to money.
Well, sure.
So,
like everything.
We're going to just back up for a minute here. By 1986, Jim Crockett, who was a promoter in the South, you had all these territories sort of going out of business, and Jim Crockett sort of buying them up, and it sort of consolidated them all into one entity. And this is called Jim Crockett Promotions, or JCP. With a new NWA World Heavyweight Championship belt in 1986, he introduces. This is colloquially called the Big Gold Belt.
Okay.
So if I say Big Gold, I'm talking about the NWA World Heavyweight Championship held by Ric Flair.
Okay.
So a couple years later, 1988, Ted Turner, owner of CNN and the Atlanta Braves and TBS and all these.
He owns a couple things.
Media mogul.
Just a few little things.
Yeah. He purchases. He's a huge wrestling fan personally.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Purchases Jim Crockett Promotions and rebrands it as World Championship Wrestling.
Or the WCW.
And this is in partnership at the time with the NWA. So there's like WCW / NWA.
Yeah.
They're still sort of using both brandings. And the big gold belt represents both champions, essentially.
Okay.
The NWA is pretty much, it's virtually non-existent at this point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like it had fallen hard.
I'm really surprised, honestly, that it took this long after the creation of WWF for, like, all the other smaller traveling, like, territory things to fall under, because Vince McMahon kind of, he poached, who he wanted and then just started this huge thing. And I'm really surprised it took, 7 years or more for it to really fall.
There are smaller ones. Certainly they're around after this point, but the only one, by 1991, the only one that's national in a way that WWF is WCW, the former Jim Crockett Promotions. So in July 1991, there's a vice president of World Championship Wrestling named Jim Herd, and him and Flair have a falling out. Basically, Flair's still like a huge draw. He draws money. He's extremely popular.
Yeah.
And Jim Herd is just like, you're old. You're out of date. You're out of touch. And I don't want you having a say in booking the shows and the matches.
Damn.
And I want you to take a pay cut. And I want you to shave your head.
What?
And I want you to wear an earring. And we're going to call you Spartacus.
Oh, Jesus.
And Ric Flair, the kiss-stealing, wheeling-dealing, limousine-riding, jet-flying son of a gun, who's having a hard time holding these alligators down, is like, fuck no, I'm not doing any of that.
Yeah.
I'm Ric fucking Flair. And he's like, okay, bye. I'm going to go up north and work for Vince McMahon. Okay, so these belts, like, these are really, really expensive things. I know that wrestling is fake, and you think, oh, this is just a cheap plastic toy. They have these, like, custom made, like, by, like, guys who are real legit.
Really?
Like, it's like a craft. Ric Flair put down a $25,000 deposit.
Oh, my God.
On this belt. The deal was he puts down a $25,000 deposit when they give him the belt. And the belt is his to hold. When he loses the belt, in storyline, he gets his $25,000 back. He leaves to go to the WWF, signs with WWF, and Jim Herd, vice president of WCW is like, fuck you, I'm not giving you your $25,000 back.
Oh my God.
And Flair's like, okay, then I'm going to take your belt and go on their TV with it until you give me my fucking money back.
Damn.
So in August of 1991, Ric Flair shows up on WWE television with the WCW NWA World Heavyweight Championship belt. Billing himself as the real world's champion.
The real world champion, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hulk Hogan, you may be the champion here, but you're not the real world's champion. I am the real world's champion, and here's the belt to prove it.
This is some TNT Loves drama. This is the drama.
And with a heavy dose of real life drama.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's got his financial advisor, Bobby Heenan, quote unquote financial advisor.
I was going to say,
his quote unquote executive consultant, Mr. Perfect, who is hurt at the time. Oh my
God.
So this is like a way to kind of keep him on TV without having to get physical. So you have this great little stable of Ric Flair, the real world's champion, with the big gold belt, bringing in a new championship belt with Bobby Heenan and Mr. Perfect by his side. WCW sues Ric Flair and the WWF for bringing the title on TV. And then they eventually, they have to blur it out.
Really?
Yeah. Eventually they work it out and Flair gets his money back and they get their belt back.
Oh my God.
And that's all a story for another time. So Ric Flair shows up with the belt at Survivor Series 1991. The main event is Hulk Hogan versus your boy, The Undertaker. And Flair interferes and helps The Undertaker defeat Hulk Hogan. So a year, almost to the day, since he debuted at the 1990 Survivor Series, The Undertaker becomes world champion.
What?
Yes.
That's crazy.
So this is... and it seems clear that we're setting up, like, the dream match, right? Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair.
Yeah.
The two biggest names in American professional wrestling by a long shot.
Yeah.
Is that where we go? No. But...
Seriously?
The Undertaker holds the title for a week. At which point, at an event called This Tuesday in Texas, Hulk Hogan cheats to win it back, and the title is then vacated.
So no one has it.
So no one has it. We have this drama.
Well, why wouldn't it go back to The Undertaker then?
Because he didn't win the match. Well, and plus the kayfabe reason is you cheated to win it in the first place.
Oh yeah, I guess that is
Flair
true.
interferes to help him win it.
Yeah, technicality.
So yeah, we have this whole drama with Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair, and The Undertaker gets a weird 1 week title run in late 1991. So that brings us to a close on 1991, but only as far as the television product goes. Because there's something else happening in 1991
yes, there is.
Going to supersede anything that's going on TV and is going to shape the company for years to come.
Yes.
And I'm talking about, if you've never heard of this, it is kind of known as the steroid scandal, the steroid trial. So there was a doctor, Dr. George Zahorian. He was a Pennsylvania doctor who worked with the WWF backstage for years in the 80s. And
sounds like a made-up name, by the way, but okay.
He's still practicing.
Are you kidding?
Well, he's a urologist. Yes, he's still practicing.
He's
in Hershey, Pennsylvania. So if you got a problem with your pee-pee in Hershey, PA, do not go see Dr.
Do
George
not go
Zahorian.
see Dr. George Zahorian.
So he gets busted by the feds. So in 1988, they changed a bunch of the laws and like really started cracking down on the distribution of anabolic steroids and really started regulating it. He gets busted because this guy like informs on him, basically.
Yeah.
Busted by the feds.
Not one of the wrestlers, but just someone.
Someone else.
Okay.
Yeah. He is convicted on 15 charges of trafficking drugs, and he's sentenced to 3 years in prison.
Oh, shit.
How does this affect WWF?
Yeah. What does this have to do with WWF?
at his trial, he and his lawyer kind of casually mentioned that he had for years been supplying WWF wrestlers with steroids and various other drugs.
Oh, God.
Including directly to Vince McMahon's office at Titan Towers in Connecticut, and mentions Roddy Piper and Hulk Hogan by name.
Oh, my God.
In the trial. So this is kind of like a, sort of barely making the headlines thing in local newspapers, sort of like a doctor gets busted for illegally distributing drugs.
Right, like, oh yeah,
there's a trial. Like this isn't like on CNN or anything.
Yeah.
As soon as those names get mentioned, it blows up.
Oh, I bet.
And becomes a thing. And huge national attention.
Yeah.
Huge backlash. Hulk Hogan decides he's going to go clear the air and go on probably the most popular talk show of the time, the Arsenio Hall Show.
Oh.
And everyone is expected, like, this isn't surprising.
Sure, yeah, look at them, yeah.
Exactly, look at them. We kind of know, and everyone's sort of expecting him to come clean and be like, yeah, I've used them.
Yeah.
But, to his point, you can say, well, back when I was using them, they weren't illegal. They just decriminalized, or they just criminalized this.
Yeah.
Instead, he goes on Arsenio, and it's a disaster. And he lies, and you can tell Arsenio Hall knows he's lying, and the audience can tell he's lying. And he just doubles down and triples down and quadruples down.
Oh, God, that's so uncomfortable.
On the lies, and it's a disaster, and the public backlash is huge.
Yeah.
The all-American hero is, going
tarnished.
He's disgraced, kind of.
Yeah. Oh,
and
my God.
I think he even said in his book that this was like the biggest public mistake of his career, though probably at this point I would say that's
probably not anymore.
Other stuff that has superseded this. So here at the end of 1991, the wreshling business frankly had already kind of been in decline.
Yeah.
The Hogan, and across the board, not just WWF. Mm-hmm. We peaked, in the late 80s.
Right.
And it's still good, but it's not what it was.
But
I mean,
again,
before.
they're like struggling to find like a real good headliner. They're kind of, they tried the Ultimate Warrior thing. They're kind of, and Hogan's not, of course, now at this point.
Right.
They can't hang all their hopes on this kind of disgraced wrestler who's already been doing this for 7 years with them. So it's just kind of not at the peak of its popularity.
We're going to talk a lot more about the steroid trial once we get into whenever we do the next episode on the following era, because this goes on for several years.
Really?
But this is the beginning of it. This is like a huge blow to the company. It's a big scandal, and it just looks like it's getting worse. As we get further on into 1991 and into 1992, it's looking increasingly like that the federal government is preparing a case against Vince McMahon and the WWF. For basically conspiracy to traffic drugs.
I was going to say drug trafficking, yeah.
Yes. Did they do it? Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. Definitely.
You mean did they go to trial or did they traffic drugs?
Both.
Oh. Okay.
We are going to go to trial, but this is going to drag out for a long time.
Okay.
And it's not going to be good for the company. And we'll get more into that, but this scandal is just in 91 is when it breaks,
right? And
when there is this big public backlash, to the extent that after WrestleMania 8, flash forward a couple months, Hogan takes a leave of absence from the company.
Oh, I'm shocked.
And is like, I'm gonna let all this go over.
Yeah.
So going back to the television product. Royal Rumble 1992, one of the greatest Royal Rumble of all time. Oh. Ric Flair wins the vacate. This is the first time there was ever like a prize for the Royal Rumble, and the title was vacant. So the gimmick was
there was no
the winner gets the winner's the champion.
Yeah.
The Rumble match is for the title. Ric Flair wins it. Cuts an amazing promo backstage. He's in the ring wrestling for over 60 minutes.
Oh Jesus.
It's so good. The match is so good.
And Ric Flair's got to be like on the older side at this point, right? Because he's
sure.
I mean, older side for wrestling, not life.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Royal Rumble 1992 is just like, I honestly probably watch that event at least once a year.
Really?
It's so good. It's so good, and Bobby Heenan is so good,
Oh, God.
and just all the personalities. And I mean, if you go like Wikipedia or Google the list of people that are in the Royal Rumble match, I mean, it's just like
all bangers, no skips.
Yes, yes, exactly. It's like, damn, the roster's so good at this time.
Yeah. Well, because in '92, you're gearing up for like another, almost like a resurgence, which I'm sure we'll talk about. You know, like they're kind of having a bit of a lull at the moment, but then you're getting ready to pick up with The Undertaker and Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and all, you know,
well,
like it
hopefully. Now, for us, that's the heart of what I loved as this era.
And
but for the company, we're beginning probably the lowest point of the company.
Oh, okay.
Over the next couple of years, things are going downhill really quickly. So, you know, WrestleMania 8, you know, we don't get Flair versus Hogan. We get Flair versus Savage, which is a great match. Mm-hmm. We get Hogan versus Sid Justice, who's kind of a Monster of the Week sort of deal. We get an excellent Bret Hart, Rowdy Roddy Piper match for the Intercontinental Championship. So good. You know, so where are we now? 1992. Things are not great. And this is where we're going to end.
Yeah.
Not on a great note. Not on a great note. So where are we? Business is down across the board. Attendance is down. Pay-per-view buys are down. Television ratings are down. The figurehead of the company is embroiled in public scandal, and after WrestleMania is just MIA. He just disappears.
Oh God.
In late 1992, WrestleMania 8 at the end after the main event, forgot to say that, Ultimate Warrior makes his return to the company. Him and Vince patch things up.
Oh boy.
And Ultimate Warrior comes back noticeably thinner and with less muscle mass, seriously. Cuz now we're getting to we need to get away from the image of these super jacked dudes.
Yeah.
This is bad optics given what's going on. And which is why you're going to see, as we get into 1992, the real rise of like Bret Hart. Guys like Bret Hart as a main eventer because he doesn't have that look.
Right.
And Shawn Michaels
who
doesn't have that look.
Yeah.
These
just
smaller
like
guys,
strong dudes that aren't like
these smaller guys who, you know, 2 or 3 years even before this wouldn't have been sniffing around the main event are now the guys you're putting the belt on. I mean, by the fall of 1992, Bret Hart beats Ric Flair for the championship.
Damn.
So he's, you know, he's kind of one of the guys at the moment. But in late 1992, the Ultimate Warrior, who is back at this point, and the British Bulldog, one of the kind of upper mid-card, he's right there, are both caught receiving anabolic steroids in the mail and promptly fired.
Shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So by the end of 1992, not only is business down, you have this huge scandal. Hulk Hogan is public opinion has
he is at this point filming Mr. Nanny, and he is not. He is not.
Things are not going well for him.
No.
He basically leaves and is like, I'm going to let all this blow over, and I'll be back. Maybe.
Yeah. I'm a white man.
Ultimate Warrior fired.
Yep.
British Bulldog fired.
Yep.
Macho Man hanging out. He's kind of the grizzled veteran at this point.
Yeah.
He has another championship run. Beats Ric Flair at WrestleMania 8 for another championship.
Wow.
So he's kind of like the standard bearer at this point, especially in the absence of we don't have Warrior, we don't have Hogan.
Yeah.
And we have a quote unquote new generation of wrestlers coming up.
Yeah.
You have Ric Flair, who is looking to return to WCW, basically.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's kind of an amicable thing. He's sort of like, okay, we resolved the problems with the money and the belt, and the guy that I had all the problems with is gone from the company now.
Yeah.
And all my friends are there. And
so, like, yeah.
I just,
no hard feelings.
When my contract is up,
out.
I've enjoyed my time. Thank you for everything. I'd like to go back.
Yeah.
And Vince is like, okay, work out your contract, and then you can go.
Cool.
So in 92, Flair's looking to leave.
Yeah.
Macho's there. He's kind of the veteran. And we now have this void of star power.
Yeah, really.
And so we're going to stop there because this is what I would consider to be the beginning of what's known as the new generation era. We're closing out the golden era. And these eras are kind of
things that you've made up in your head.
These aren't set in stone. This is just kind of how I interpret it.
Oh, okay.
But it's safe to say that by the end of 92, we're out of the golden era. Okay. We are not done with Hogan. Hogan is going to show up
he is.
again pretty soon.
He is.
But we're going to stop there for now because you're going to have a literal new generation of superstars coming up to fill this void. You're going to have Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker. Late 92, we get the debut of Razor Ramon.
Our mom
and
had a
Yokozuna.
Huge crush on Razor Ramon.
And 1993 is going to see even more huge changes.
Yeah.
As we move into this era, it feels very different very quickly when you're watching the product. But I think that really, frankly, brings us to an end of the golden era.
Wow. And
of the WWF.
What a dramatic run it was.
What a ride it has been.
Yeah. It basically the fall of the WWF at this point, scrambling to keep it together.
We are entering, like I said, things have taken a downturn, and they're gonna go further down too, as we get on into the next couple of years.
We are not at rock bottom yet.
We have not hit rock bottom yet, but there is light at the end of the tunnel that we will get to one day when we do an episode, because they're gonna hit higher highs than they had even in the 80s with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. For sure.
And it's going to be, it's really something to behold. I would just like to say, I think that especially if you are not a wrestling fan, if you have listened to, what is probably total almost 3 hours talking about wrestling between these two episodes, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that
I've enjoyed learning new things.
Yeah. I hope that you can see, at least have some kind of appreciation. Maybe it's inspired you to go YouTube some of the stuff we've talked about.
Yeah.
And I really do love wrestling, obviously. It's ridiculous, and it's goofy, and it's so much fun, and it has its dark side, just like everything else does.
Yeah.
But I've loved it for 30 years, and I hope that even if you are not a wrestling fan, not historically, that you have enjoyed us talking about all this stuff and some of these crazy storylines and characters
and Justin's impressions
and my voices.
Yeah,
sorry about all that. But yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I've had a ton of fun putting these together. And we are going to, this is not the last wrestling episode we're going to do, but we are moving on to other things.
Yes.
In the near future, but we will be back to pick up the story.
Yes.
Of the WWF, and I would also, I think, a WCW episode is, in the cards down the road.
I don't have anything from my childhood that I think I could spearhead so many episodes of. So I don't know that we'll have that. But I don't know. We already did a Babysitter's Club episode. That was a lot of my childhood. So I don't know. We were just talking the other night about Mary-Kate and Ashley movies and TV shows and that whole fucking empire. So that may have to be an episode at some point.
Oh, great. A multi-part episode. I can't wait.
Yeah, I could probably make it into one. I just sat with you and talked about wrestling for 3 hours.
Yes, you did, and I appreciate that.
So yeah, we will be back with a non-wrestling episode in
just a week.
In 1 week. So we're going to stay on schedule. This one was a week late, but we're not going to make you wait 2 more weeks. We will have another one up next Friday. So just now's a good time to plug our social media so that you can go over there and follow us. We are on Twitter and Instagram at Cool Kids Club Pod. Come on over there and talk with us, chat with us. We're on social media a lot. You can find me personally on Instagram and Twitter at Amy Reads TN. Justin is on Instagram and Twitter at lousywithghosts. Obviously, you can find our podcast. You've already found it on Spotify, Apple, anywhere else you would find your podcast.
Congratulations, you found it.
Congratulations, you have already found it. Good job. And yeah, we want to thank Brian Wakefield, the wonderful Brian Wakefield, as always, who wrote and performed our earworm of a theme song. Thank you so much, Brian. Do you have anything else we need to add, Justin?
I think you got it.
All right.
I have talked a lot.
You have. How are you feeling?
My throat's a little sore.
A little bit. Well, we're going to give Justin a break. And like I said, we will be back in 1 week with a new episode. We hope so much that you have enjoyed us talking about the formation and the golden era of WWF. As Justin said, this will not be the last time we talk about wrestling. And the next, the new generation era is really my bread and butter, because that's when I started watching as a kid. So I'm very excited for the next.
The new generation
whenever we
era,
decide to
I
do
feel
this.
like it's certainly a much shorter era.
Yeah,
what we're talking about, because it's really only a couple of years.
Yeah.
We just might have to make that a 2-part one too, because we're gonna have a lot of personal stories.
Yeah, yeah, and there'll be a lot of pictures to share on social media.
Oh yes,
since we went to WrestleMania.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
I wanted to tease. We've been to a major event.
Oh yes.
All right, guys. This is it for the Cool Kids Club episode 9. Justin, I will see you soon.
All right. Bye,
all right,
cool
guys.
Kids.
Bye. One more woo for the road.
All right, both of us, right?
All right.
Ready?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Woo! We'll see you next time.
He's just a common man.